So in this segment, we're going to be discussing MPs getting an inflation-busting 5.5% pay rise to £91,346. Inflation-busting pay rise. So when they kept saying public sector workers can't get, a significant pay rise because it will fuel inflation, why did they get one? Why did they get one? Is because they have a, quote, independent pay body, which doesn't have the same restrictions that the other public sector workers have. This is genuinely just so dumb, especially like when politicians have cooked the economy so badly and they moan that, oh, we can't give public sector employees a pay rise because we can't afford it, or it's going to cause more inflation or whatever. Like, if that's the case, that you can't give people inflation matching pay rises, that's your failure, because that's your job to manage the economy.
Let's go from cash-strapped voters in Grimsby to well-off, pretty much almost anyone's money MPs here in SW1. And the news that politicians are getting an inflation-busting pay rise. Sky's chief political correspondent John Craig is with me. John, what's going on?
Nice work if you can get it. At the moment, MP's salary is £86,584. That's backbenchers. It's going up by 5.5% to £91,346. As you say, well above the current rate of 4% inflation.
It's just shocking. Do you know what I mean? Like, these people who have absolutely destroyed the economy, failed during the biggest challenge of COVID, why should they deserve a pay rise? Embarrassing. It's not like they're struggling to live. They're in the top 5% of earners in the country. This from Sangeeta of LBC, and there's a couple of calls there. There's one lady one lady actually absolutely simps for the Tory MPs. Let's have a listen.
I mean, I'm really struggling to say this with a straight face. It's just unbelievably tin-eared of them, isn't it? The struggle, the sacrifice, the financial pain, the effect on people's mental health, the effect on their families, the effect on their relationships, the cost of living crisis. The average salary in this country is under £35,000. Sunak has just been talking about cutting benefits to increase tax cuts for working people.
People make the argument MPs should be paid more, so then more people want to become MPs, more intelligent people. It's like they already earn a significant amount of money and have a lot of expenses covered. And, the idea of, well, if you pay them more to get smarter people, I just don't believe that's true, honestly. Because there's a certain type of person who wants to become a politician, generally, and they're the ones you typically want to avoid, the ones that want power at all costs, who don't know how to govern things, who don't understand economics, but are arrogant, privately educated people who just want to make themselves wealthier. The argument MPs should get paid more, I don't believe that, honestly. I think they get paid enough. And, when they start delivering, when they start actually delivering growth and actual economic prosperity, that's when they can actually get paid more. When you look at the last 14 years, what have they done to deserve the amount of money they're on? What have they done to deserve the amount of increases they've gotten? Nothing.
Whilst forgetting to say that the vast majority of people on benefits are, in fact, working people. Sometimes I just run out of words. I don't know what else to say about this anymore. About the complete disconnect between what is happening in Westminster and what is happening in your lives, in the way you feel that today's politics has let you down.
What I find kind of crazy is I've not seen the media actually cover this a ton. Along with even some of the people on YouTube, I don't know why no one's covering this. It's gotten very little coverage, considering why should they get a pay rise, especially inflation above inflation one, when they've consistently put other public sector workers down, healthcare workers, police, fire service, ones that actually do stuff. The ones that help people, the ones that when you're sick, they will heal you, the ones where your house or building's on fire, they will run in there. They will literally run into a burning building to rescue you. And these are people who are not being paid adequately. But you got these absolute frauds in the House of Commons, in the House of Lords, being paid ridiculous sums of money. What have they done to earn £90,000 a year? Honestly.
They don't have to vote this through. The MPs don't have to vote through their own pay rise. They could just say, this year we're going to park it.
It's done by an independent body, so I don't know how much they can actually do this. But they can just say, we'll donate it. We'll donate it to our local food bank. That's what they could do.
It's okay. The country's been through hell. We don't have enough to spend on the NHS or education. People can't see a doctor. They're on waiting lists.
Do you know what they could do? They could put the money towards House of Commons repairs, because the House of Parliament is in disrepair. So that's where they could put the money, genuinely.
Kids who need extra help at school can't get it, which plays into the next hour, by the way, 3 o'clock. Some of those kids getting suspended are those that cannot get extra support in schools because we're not funding them. Half the buildings are falling down.
But MPs can get a pay rise.
I'm outraged because I've not received a penny piece in the cost of living allowance. In terms of, I should have been able to claim 3 lots of £300. What they don't tell you is that is only available if it's on certain times of the year. So it looks like you could qualify for £900. You don't get. I haven't had a penny piece. And what
This guy's breathing into his phone with aggression.
the argument that we're entitled to we need a certain standard of MP, that applies to a lot of fields with professional people who haven't had a rise with the cost of living. That would include doctors and sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say include doctors and God, I'm hanging on your every word, Dave.
Teachers and...
We're losing people from these professions. We're losing GPs, we're losing nurses, we're losing teachers, all partly because we don't pay them enough. Why would you want the stresses of those roles, the responsibilities of those roles, when you're not rewarded adequately? The whole idea of, we need MPs to get paid more so we're the best in class. Okay, cool. Why does that not work for healthcare workers? Why does that not work for teachers? Why does that not work for a military service? Genuinely, if you want the best in class for teachers, surely we should be paying more.
Lecturers, that sort of thing, they haven't had that sort of increase at all. They've had a below the cost of living increase.
They've been told for the last few years that having a above inflation pay rise would fuel inflation, and we
haven't even seen them get a in line with inflation pay rise.
Spoke to Richard earlier, who knows all the numbers, and he just says it's just totally untrue. And then we see the MPs getting an above inflation pay rise.
Yes, and the government has the cheek to tell us in their leaflets that there are 40 ways to help you with the cost of living increase, and I don't qualify for anything after 6 months. When I was trying to find a post.
This is actual madness what we're witnessing here with these pay rises. This is the last one we're going to listen to this call.
What about the people who,
This absolute simp.
create the jobs? They have to stick their necks out. They have to take a lot of risks. They create the jobs that people can then work in. They need to be addressed also, and also the fact that these MPs, they're working very hard.
No, they're not. They're not working hard. They're not working hard because you have certain MPs who live in tax havens who advise people how to avoid paying British taxes. They don't work hard. No, they don't. You see them on jollies all the time. You see them drinking in the house, in the pubs in and around Parliament. They're not working hard. It's nonsense.
On our behalf, I really think that they need to be paid for that. I mean, if you were running a big firm, you would be paid a lot more than that. And
do you know what? If you're doing badly in your big firm, you can be fired for that. You can be fired. They can vote you out. They have yearly votes on things like CEOs. I think they could vote you out. They could vote you out, dog. They could even call a vote if they want to, and they can vote you out.
They're running the country. They're also trying to negotiate with other countries, getting us deals and everything else. They have to be paid well. How the hell are they going?
They are paid well. They're in the top 5% of earners. If that's not being paid well, I don't know what is.
To be motivated otherwise. I mean, it's ridiculous to say they shouldn't accept because they don't need it. I mean, how do anybody know? How do you know, or any of us know, what they need? They've gone through hell for the past 10 years between COVID and this and that and the other. And really,
they literally made COVID worse in this country. Every big decision they had, they fumbled. They fumbled hard.
I feel that, the poor are getting...
Don't know what Sangeeta's whispering.
Free legal, they're getting all the rest. They get everything free. They don't pay any taxes.
Wait, who's she talking about?
The poor are getting free legal. They're getting all the rest.
The poor people, workers are the ones helping generate the wealth. Madness. They're the ones that have, kind of traditional working jobs in manufacturing or agriculture or even in services. They're the ones helping generate the wealth. This argument of we get it for free, it's nonsense. You don't need to make a lot of money in this country to be taxed.
They get everything free. They don't pay any taxes.
That's nonsense, honestly. Like if you're a person who's working full time, you will definitely pay national insurance contributions, which is a tax.
Most of them. I mean, some people work a little bit, but then there are other people who are just defrauding the state, and they have businesses in Morocco and everything else. Nobody even looks into that.
Do you know who could stop that? The politicians. Do you know who could help stop that? If they actually did their job, they could actually stop tax havens and things like that. But they don't do their job, do they? It's either incompetence or it's greed, because these people who have these offshore companies help fund certain politicians. So you take your pick which one. But the argument of, we need to do more with these offshore tax havens or whatever, that's the politician's job to do.
Aspect of the people on the dole. They come here and none of their background is checked whatsoever. And yet they're...
Ooh, are we blaming foreigners now? Who's the ones that decide which people get into the country? I wonder who that would be.
They're laughing up their sleeves at us, taxpayers, high taxpayers, low taxpayers. I don't care what you call them. They're all taxpayers, and that's our money. And we're supporting them. They should have to work for their money.
Do you know who's stopping them from working? Politicians. We don't let asylum seekers, I think, work in this country. Or the ones that are on the list for getting asylum. We don't let them work in this country. So literally, your argument of politicians need to be paid more to be motivated, and then being mad at asylum seekers and things like that when we're actively stopping them from working. What is the argument you're trying to make here? Because you're looking incredibly stupid.
Like the rest of us.
Lots of people getting free legal. Actually, if you were to talk to anybody in the legal field, particularly solicitors who are doing legal aid work, they will tell you that the legal aid budget has been shrunk back like never before. I agree with you, Vicky.
It's true. It's been shrunk so badly. We saw barristers on strike. That's how badly the legal aid fund has been shrunk.
Absolutely. We should be cracking down on those people who are perpetrating benefit fraud, but that's not really the issue today. The
bigger problem is people commit tax evasion and tax fraud. They're the bigger culprits. That's worth way more money than benefit fraud. But whoop-de-doo, the politicians don't want to do anything about it.
Here is about public servants who are at the higher end of the wage bracket. And those public servants, in this case, happen to be MPs who are allowed to take second jobs, and many, many of them do.
They work so hard, they can work a second job. Genuinely, like, how hard can you work to be putting in 10, 15 hours a week extra? Like, I struggle just doing YouTube on top of my full-time job, and it burns me out. So, imagine being an MP, you work so hard, but you can afford to do lobbying work. Okay, yeah, I'm sure you work real hard in your job.
And the question here is, when we have been through such a period of hardship, does it help win over or undermine public trust when MPs appear to be on course to accept an above-inflation pay rise?
My opinion is get everybody out of bed in the morning, get them working, get them doing something for their money that they're getting from...
This is classic Tory nonsense. Genuine, like, people on benefits don't get a lot of money. And then the idea of, get people working. Like, we have I think it's the majority of people unemployed are on long-term sick leave because the NHS is cooked, because they can't get routine operations done. Like, this whole argument, get them up, get them working, is so outdated and so stupid. Like, even things like the Roundtree, I think it was the Roundtree survey they did around a century, a long time ago now, I think it's almost a century ago, found that working people typically don't spend their money on cigarettes and alcohol. They spend it on food and other necessities. Like, this caller is so dumb. Like, genuinely so stupid. Guarantee 100% she's a Tory. No idea what she's talking about. And I think Sangeeta should have done a better job of calling her out, to be honest. And just let her waffle on, talking absolute drivel. Like, this is madness.
From our pockets, and get them to get up and sort out their lives. And believe me, I mean, unless they're deaf, dumb and blind, that should be happening, but it's not. They're getting...
It's just stupid. Honestly, it's so stupid. Like, these people exist, these people vote, and that's what's scary the most. These people genuinely believe, like, you just live a life of benefit. I'll challenge any one of these Tories to honestly live on the amount you get from state welfare. I challenge you guys, honestly, you can't do it. What's her name? Anne Widdecombe tried that, and then she failed. And then she still goes on tirades about benefits and all this stuff. She couldn't do it. They can't do it. That's why they won't do it. But anyways, I will leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel if you're as annoyed as I am on this one. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.